Dennis Drazen, CEO of Monmouth Park Racetrack. Well, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. We were here a year ago, pretty close to the same day after the Supreme Court ruling. Looking back on it, I think a lot of people at the time, including me, and we talked about it at the time, thought that it was going to have a profound effect on other rulings. Maybe it's too soon, but that has not yet been the case.
A year ago, we were just after the Supreme Court arguments. And based upon the arguments, I told you that I felt New Jersey would be handed a victory. And ultimately in May, I was proven right. And New Jersey opened its sports books for betting in June. And the interesting part of the ruling, as you say, is that we believe that this ruling is a states' rights issue that has more sweeping effects than just sports betting cases. This will be a basis to argue issues such as immigration, sanctuary cities, anything that affects states' rights versus federal rights. This case, which is Murphy versus the NCAA, will become precedent-setting in a lot of arguments in the future of this country.
Has anybody come to you since then to ask you for advice for a states' right case?
Yes, I've had a lot of inquiries, not only in states' right cases, trying to draw an analogy between this case, but a lot of the legislators and groups in other states in the United States who are now looking at legalizing sports betting are coming and asking advice both on the constitutional end, what they need to do, on the legislative end, and on the practical end. So I think that the future in this country of sports betting is that it will, over the next several years, spread to the majority of the states in this country, and it will convert a lot of revenue to good uses. This was a $400 billion illegal industry, and while I don't think that we're going to put bookies out of business and shut down every offshore site, I think a significant portion of that money will now move into legal markets and be regulated, and it's a good thing.
The last time I talked to you, I asked you something off camera that I didn't ask you on camera, and I was shocked by your answer. I said to you, well, this has got to be great for you personally. I'm sure you made a lot of money, and you said, no, I didn't. I didn't take any money. I hope that's changed.
Not really. So, I think that everybody comes up to me now and they say, look, you were the visionary that saw this coming, you pursued it for all these years in courts, you always believed in it, we hope you invested in all those companies that are now benefiting, and I didn't. That wasn't my focus. My focus was to preserve an industry at the time. We had a horse racing industry that had fallen on hard times. Our casinos were falling on hard times and losing revenues. And I was really trying to save Monmouth Park and save horse racing in this state for the future generations. This is an industry that supports 13,000 jobs. It's a $4 billion economic generator for the state. Preserves 176,000 of open space and preserved acres so that all our open spaces don't get developed. And it's really an industry that's been important to New Jersey since 1870, when the first version of Monmouth Park started and was founded and operated. And the money now, certainly sports betting will bring in revenue for the track. It will flow down to the purses for horsemen. It will also provide additional revenue for the state of New Jersey. The betting has been very healthy.
You say will, it hasn't already?
It has, but I think that the reports last month, the new reports are due out shortly, but the reports last month showed about $600 million in revenue that was bet in sports books since we opened in June. And don't forget, not every casino or racetrack or online component of this business is operating yet. It's slowly growing. I think that by the end of the year, we could see $1 billion bet in total wagering here in New Jersey. And the taxpayers are going to receive some relief from that.
You made a compelling case when you talked about the money and the jobs with the horse racing industry, but other industries have been allowed to fail. Why do we need to prop up that industry in the state? Why do we need, if it's not succeeding on its own, why doesn't it just be allowed to contract or to fail?
Well, we have succeeded on our own now. So the racetrack...
With sports betting?
Well, yes, correct. So the racetrack industry and the casino industry was failing. The casino industry received significant support from the state, but the racetrack industry did not. We used to have revenue that we got from the casino industry or the state in the form of subsidies, because the casinos didn't want casino gambling to expand outside of Atlantic City. But when Governor Christie came in, he cut out all the subsidies. And he basically said, I'm going to give you an opportunity. You have to control your own destiny. I'm going to let the horsemen take over the track, which we did. And he said, I'm going to give you an opportunity to run with the ball, so to speak, on sports betting. We're going to pass this legislation. The Constitution had been changed. The voters voted overwhelmingly by 2/3 that they wanted sports betting. The governor and the legislation.
And then the federal government stopped you in this.
Senator Lesniak, led the charge, but all the legislators supported this. And basically Governor Christie said, you control your own destiny. Monmouth Park was the only one who stepped up to the plate. So all the other racetracks and casinos, for various reasons, did not believe that we could win the case, or they had licenses in other states. They were concerned about the regulatory problems that they could have if they began to take wagers in New Jersey when other regulators said this violates federal law. So we did it alone at Monmouth Park.
And now everybody's benefiting from it. I want to stop at that point because you reach an important point in that story that you were telling about how this came to be. And then you were challenged by the leagues and lost, and there was a stay. And there was supposed to be some money that comes to you because of all the money you lost from the moment of that stay to the Supreme Court ruling. That's still in court, and we'll talk about that and exactly how much money you're bringing in for yourselves and the state when we continue our conversation with CEO of Monmouth Park Racetrack, Dennis Drazen.